All right, from Connor, what strategies would you recommend to avoid the trap of only changing my way of life during Lent? You hit the nail on the head, especially when you talked about wanting to leave behind old ways for good.
Well, I think a strategy first, like, would be to take stock of the things that you're wanting to give up. Okay. Changing your life during Lent. Like, what is it that you want to see long term? Maybe Lent becomes the jumping off point for that. But when you begin to pick these things, look long term and say, what am I doing to incorporate a lifelong process of discipleship? And maybe Lent is like your jumpstart, your Kickstarter to get you there. But you have to identify, like my wife and I were having this conversation about Exodus yesterday. We were talking about why these particular disciplines, why you give up this, not give up that. And we said, well, some things you just shouldn't have to be on the list because it's just obvious. There's no discipline to not go to a strip club on the Exodus 90 app. That's just obvious, right? There are other things. And so that you might look at your own life and go, okay, what are the things that shouldn't be a part of my life at all? And if Lent's going to be the time where you just throw all of that in a big box and say, I'm giving all this up for the Lord during Lent, then let that be your initial your initial Kickstarter. But on the things that are sort of like, okay, I'm going to do an extra prayer thing, an extra almsgiving. I think that I know this is going to sound like I'm contradicting myself, but I'm really not. I think that by giving yourself the permission to just do certain things during Lent is going to have fruit that plays out the rest of the year. Okay. Because here's what I mean. If you, let's say you take up a discipline of prayer, you're really new in your faith, you're not really praying a whole lot, and you decide you're going to start, let's say you're going to pray the rosary every day during Lent. You're entering into that going, okay, there's a stopping point. But what can happen oftentimes is when you start to see the fruit of this in your own life, Lent's just going to be done. And you're going to be like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm keeping that going. So give yourself the freedom to embrace it during Lent, and then let the results of that speak for themselves in your life. And then you're probably, like, I'll give you a good example with Exodus. I was terrified of doing the cold showers. I can tell you guys right now, when Exodus is over, I will probably still do cold showers. But if you would have told me, hey, if you're going to start Exodus 90, you're going to do cold showers forever, I probably would have been like, but it's because now it's not going to be something I'm doing because I feel like I have to. I've seen the fruit of these things, and now I just want to continue. That's the idea behind this stuff in Lent, Connor, is step into something that you're a little courageous to do because you know it's only going to be 40 days. Let the fruit of that begin to play itself out, and then go from there.
I just reiterate, Keith, the points, which are wonderful. Obviously, in every evil, or in every circumstance which is evil, we try to reject it and try to overcome it. That's actually a condition of absolution, which we receive in the sacrament of reconciliation. So I think it's important that we consider, like, okay, what are these triggers or things that I do before I fall into sin? And consider removing those. Like, take yourself out of the hard circumstance entirely, is really something that I would encourage. But then to just double click on this with you, Keith, there's this distinction to make between habits and disciplines. And it's not and there's actually, it's really important to make this distinction as, with people with a Catholic vision and a Christian vision, because obviously habits culture is alive and well, and there's so much to affirm in it and so much I've received from it. However, we're not just building the habits, that we want to make forever and just trying to try to go about it that way with Lent. It's not just about building good habits. It's also about taking on disciplines for periods of time to enter into this sacred time of the year. So Keith, it's like cold showers might be for you. That's great. It's probably not for everybody. Okay, no problem. But it can be a discipline for this period. And that's something to kind of, uniquely craft for your own plan of life. And so just to kind of reiterate this about the plan after Lent, I'd love to just share, this year, we've really worked hard to craft an Easter experience. that helps men to adjust to life after Exodus 90, to life after Lent with Exodus, which we're beginning here on Ash Wednesday. And it's all about really entering into this season of resurrection, this season of celebration. Because as hard as it is to enter into Lent for 40 days, I mean, how many Catholics do enter into Easter intentionally for 50 days? Very few. I bet if as a percentage basis, my odds would be around to about 1 or 2%. And so we've been really focused on this question as a team. And we're really excited about the Easter experience in which we'll be entering into the letters of St. Peter, focusing on the fruits and gifts of the Holy Spirit, to make this a powerful Easter season and to really adjust, in your own personal way, like, okay, what are the parts of Lent with Exodus, or what are the parts of Exodus 90 that I want to bring with me to life afterwards? Okay, what are those things I just don't need, in the Easter season? We're going to work through building personal plans of life together with you on the app. And I'd love for you to join us there on the app to kind of support, both the Lenten time and the time, of celebration. Because listen, as Christians, as Catholics, we're not just people of fasting, we're people of feasting. And it's this dynamic throughout the year that really, makes us distinct and separates us from the world.